Well, what about? It's been several weeks out. What about Five Nights at Freddy? You've watched it. I've watched it.
All right, let's get it. I
Okay.
do not like scary movies at all. You know that. I hate them, in fact. But I watched this one because cultural event. And by the way, it was streaming day and day on Peacock, so why not?
Yep.
I watched it. I understood most of it. Therefore, I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. I can see why kids would play a video game based on this. I thought it was okay. Did it change my life? No. Does it change the world? No. Do I know all the lore? No. And do I care to know it? No. I just enjoyed the 90 minutes I watched it. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Had I gone to the theaters, I would not have been disappointed, I don't think, because I thought, wow, this is going to be a number 2 and a number 3. Okay, I'm fine with it. And that movie continues to bank money at the box office. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They had made money before it ever dropped in theaters because of the check that Peacock and Universal cut them. That's right. Jason Blumhouse, God bless you, sir. You have figured out the way to make money. $25 million budget, and they're pushing $200 million in revenue.
Now, I watched this at the house with my kids. Some of them were well versed in Five Nights Freddy lore, and they were some of them were very unhappy. Now, my oldest went to theaters with a group of friends and watched it, and she loved it because it was an event. And so, on the one hand, for the fans, some of them loved it because it was an event. It was Five Nights at Freddy coming to them. They're sitting in theaters watching these beloved psycho serial killer animatronic children possessed things kill people. And they're like, yes, that's what we always wanted. And I'm like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be watching horror movies anymore. But
shut up. I blame you for that.
But then, some of my kids were like, no, this is horrible. This isn't the lore at all. This person doesn't die like this. This person's already dead because they died like that. And I'm like, I'm sitting there learning more about the lore than I ever wanted to. And all I knew halfway through was that I know who the bad guy is. It's Shaggy.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious from that whole thing when he said, I hope to see you again. It's like, gee, why would you hope to see me again? Unless there's a reason you don't think you'll see me again. How would you know that? Unless you knew something. But I mean, it's a kid's movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of adult friends who absolutely hated it. Oh, this is a terrible movie. It wasn't for you.
Yeah, it's for the fandom.
By the way, if you went and watched it, they appreciate your money. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I hated it, and don't watch it again. And look, I'm at that point in life, dude. If you didn't like it, be like, I thought it was terrible. I would never watch that again. Moving along. I'm not going to spend my life worrying about it. What?
You know what's funny? My kids, the ones that hated it, said that maybe they'll fix it for the second one. Maybe it'll be closer to the lore. So while they were not happy with some of my kids were not happy with the way the first movie was portrayed, they weren't a big fan of it. They're more than willing to pony up the money to go see a second one that hasn't even been written and started filming yet. And I'm like, well, you know what? That's fandom.
By the way, one last point on that: the director and the writer of the movie, writer of the video game. He actually did it. So for all the people mad about the lore, might want to call him up and be like, we don't like what you did. We'll take it up with him. He's the guy who basically started and has continued the franchise over like 67 video games. He's the one who wrote it. And if you don't like it, call him up.
And tidbit of information,
DMs, as the kids say.
Tidbit of information. I guess the Uber driver was a big YouTuber that actually helped promote the game at the beginning of its infancy, and so he has a cameo there. And I was like, oh, I have no idea who the YouTuber is, nor do I care to look him up. But my kids are like, hey, we know that guy. He used to play the game all the time and streamed it, and it helped make it popular. I'm like, hey, you know what? Good for them.
Hey, if they're happy, I'm happy. So
go watch Willy Wonderland if you want to watch an R-rated.
Time watching Nicolas Cage movies.
Yes, you should watch this movie. If you watch Five Nights at Freddy,
No.
Go watch The Willy's Wonderland. It literally is the same movie, but it's rated R, and you start off with the killers much quicker, and Nicolas Cage doesn't say a single word of dialogue in the entire movie, which
That
in
still
itself
doesn't
is.
sell me. Still doesn't sell me.
But
Not a Nicolas Cage guy. I know. I'm sorry. I feel like the skull's on fire. It's like Ghost Rider.